Hi and welcome to this multi-part video series called Phone Right. My name is David Anthony. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome, and do consider subscribing because this channel is all about helping you go further and faster in business and in life. So let's get started.
Welcome back. We're now on the home stretch. And let's get into some more finesse ideas now, so you really can create a brilliant shop window and a brilliant first impression for your company. You'll recall we spoke earlier on about offering to help when the person being called was not available. Let's look quickly at how that can be done best. Clearly, other than the caller's name and number, which we've discussed how to get, you need to get as much information as possible to help the caller solve whatever problem they have. And the best way to do that is to encourage them to talk. And you do that by asking them what are called open-ended questions. Open-ended questions, for our purposes here, are questions that require more than a one-word answer. Open-ended questions, then, begin with one of 7 words. And those words are what, which, when, where, how, who, and why. Once again, what, which, when, where, how, who, and why. Asking questions beginning with these words helps you get to the specifics of the situation very quickly. Now, the questions you ask will depend upon the situation, but you'll find many of them can be planned in advance. You'll find much more information on this area in our Phone Right Part 1 program. It's the one that deals with the incoming call after it's been put through, so I'd recommend strongly that you listen to it. For now, simply remember this. When you've offered to help, you need to get as much information as you can before outlining to the caller what the next step is. And the way to get that information is to make certain your questions start with what, which, when, where, how, who, or why. And of course, one way of making certain you retain that information is to do one of the most important things you can ever do on a phone. What's that? Take notes, of course. Taking notes forces you to listen, so make sure you've got a notepad and pen right alongside your phone at all times. It'll help you pass on much more effective messages. Now, unfortunately, taking notes can also make you sound officious. Whenever you ask questions, it can sound like you're saying, give me this information or else. And that's why we recommend strongly that you use what we call question softeners whenever you ask questions. Take a note of these question softeners because they'll help you come across so much better on the phone. They'll make your questions sound softer so that the caller feels better about answering them. Here's the first one. Could I just ask? As in, could I just ask, Mr. Caller, when the package actually arrived? Another good softener is, tell me. You might use it this way. Tell me, Mrs. Caller, when did you last speak to Bob about that? My 2 favorite question softeners, though, are by the way and incidentally. You might use them like this. By the way, once again, my name's Paul Dunn, and yours is? Or, incidentally, Mary, who'll be meeting John at the airport? These seemingly small things actually make a major difference in how you're perceived by callers. Sure, they seem small, but they are critically important. As someone said to me just recently, you only need to be in front by a millimeter to win the Melbourne Cup. Good advice indeed. A little while ago on your program, we talked a little bit about complaint calls. You'll recall we were talking about them when we were talking about not interrogating callers. It's interesting to note how much handling a complaint effectively can help you increase your business. Studies show quite clearly that in 91% of the cases, a person who's had their complaint resolved effectively, professionally, caringly, and quickly will continue to do business with you. In fact, the chances are extremely high that they'll become an even bigger customer just because of the way you handled their complaint. Now, of course, this suggests a strategy that I'm definitely not advocating you follow. Notably, mess up a customer so that they complain so that you can show them how good you are at resolving the complaint. So, how do you handle complaints? And in particular, do the standards we've already developed apply? Well, the good news is that they do. In fact, they apply even more so. When the call comes in, you'll still smile, you'll still take it on the second ring, you'll still use your name, you'll still listen, and amazingly enough, you'll still give out positive strokes. Now that seems strange, doesn't it? You give out a positive stroke on a complaint call. Let's look at why it works and why it's important. Positive strokes are, as we said, verbal rewards. A genuine thank you, for instance. So why would you want to reward someone for complaining? Well, to answer that, come with me on a visit to one of our Melbourne clients. We're going to visit a place called the Jeffries Family Supermarket in North Croydon, near Melbourne in Victoria. As the name would suggest, it's run by the Jeffries family, and it's well worth visiting to see how they've really switched on to the needs of customers and how, by doing that, they've increased their turnover dramatically. Just to give you one small example, it's the only supermarket I've ever been to and seen every customer being offered a cup of coffee every day. In any event, if you ever do go to Jeffries Family Supermarket, seek out one of the owners, a man in his late 50s named Doug Jeffries. I was talking with Doug one morning and he said, "Paul, the only problem with this place is we don't get enough complaints." Now that is an uncommon attitude, but Doug knows that getting complaints and responding to them is the only way he's going to keep improving. You see, when a customer complains, they're really saying to you, "Look, I expected this standard of service. What I got was less than that. There's a gap between the two, and I'm calling you so that you can bridge that gap."
I hope you got a lot of value today. If you did, click the like button. What that does is help us build our non-profit business school, UBLA. Check out in the description below to find out more about what we're doing and how you can help. This is part of a multi-part series, so keep your eye out for the next video. In the meantime, we've done a great playlist about why do small businesses fail. Check this link over here, and this will show you a great little list about how you can be successful in business. So thank you very much. Catch you again soon.